Welcome to episode 8 of the Hike or Die Outdoor Adventure Podcast. I'm here with my waterfall chasing friend Craig.
G'day.
And we have an absolutely amazing guest on the podcast today, all the way from Oregon, USA. Craig, play the sweet, sexy sounds of our intro, please. All right, Craig, this is going to be a big one. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. How are you?
Excellent. I'm going to cut you off straight away because last time I got so excited about all the news and all the stuff, I almost forgot the sponsors, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's hit it. This podcast is sponsored by Topo Maps Plus. Go deeper into the backcountry. Rios Floating Sunglasses, they make floating sunglasses. If you didn't catch that in the title, they're fantastic. Caribbean.com, makers of fine, rugged outdoor backpacks and other gear. And finally, Bluey Merino. We are ambassadors for Bluey Merino, in fact, and they supply us with all sorts of merino base layers. So, thanks, guys, for supporting us, and let's keep on trucking. Craig, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good.
What's new?
As you alluded to, I've been chasing some waterfalls.
Yeah, you are not the type of guy to take advice from a girl band like Destiny's Child.
No.
You laugh at that kind of advice, don't you? You laugh in the face of it.
That's right.
Tell me about that.
It was pretty miserable weather, but I did do some Ks in the car and then walked quite a few Ks to get down to Springbrook and saw some postcard sort of places that I hadn't been before.
Yeah, I've seen those places on countless videos and, as you say, postcards, websites, all sorts of stuff, and I always plan to get down there. I think it was a perfect day to go.
It was.
Because from the videos you showed me, those waterfalls were going crazy.
Yeah, well, I was sort of planning to go away, and then the weather turned bad. So I had this day off and thought, all right, I'll just go down there where I might avoid a bit of the weather. And yeah, it was actually a really good day.
Yeah, no, it looked awesome. I love rainy days out there. Sometimes it's hard to get out of the house, or once you get there, it's hard to get out of the car.
Yeah.
But once you do, always some of the best days I've ever had is out in the rain. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it got pretty wet, but it was it was amazing to see those. Well, the bit where you can go in under the cave in the dark. And
yeah, is that called the Natural Bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's epic, that place.
Yeah.
I think the only reason I've never really ventured there is 9 times out of 10, if we're going all that way, we're going down there for an overnighter. And if I'm correct, that pretty much most of that region right there doesn't have bush camping facilities. Yeah.
We've been down there so many times, but it's just a little branch off the highway that, it's about a 30-minute sort of little stretch where I'd never been down that road, so you had to go right to the end to get to the Purlingbrook Falls, and they were amazing.
Yeah, that was massive, that photo you showed me.
Yeah, and then coming back to the Natural Bridge, there are some campsites at Purlingbrook, but they're, they were actually, I was almost going to stay there, but yeah.
Good stuff, mate. You received an exciting package tonight, did you not?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thanks for bringing that around, man.
That's all right. We got sent some amazing, I hope they're going to be amazing. They certainly look amazing, and the science behind them is amazing. Some sleeping bags from Zen Bivy.
Yeah.
I am always intrigued, I'll be honest, I'm always intrigued about brands who are putting in research and trying to break the rules deliberately to find a potential better way. It doesn't always work. We've seen that in every walk of life. But I've been watching these guys for a long time, and that product, just for people who don't know, it's a sleeping bag system. But the reason I'm calling it a system is because it incorporates a mat, and when it all comes together, it just gives so much more flexibility in the way that you can actually sleep in a hammock or in a tent.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And so mark this date. I'm going to start using that thing as much as I can and really get to know it. I think it will certainly live up to expectations.
Yeah, it's I've watched a ton of videos, and I've watched independent reviews as well. So everything I've seen about it kind of makes a lot of sense. It kind of seems confusing, but like I said, once you sort of get the hang of it, it's pretty awesome. I'm a side sleeper, and so I really, really get the shits with my mummy sleeping bag at the moment, because when I bend my knees, it obviously thins out, compresses the down, and then my knees get cold at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and so then I have to sleep on my back to warm them up, and it's just this. I sound like I'm complaining again, because I am, and it's just a painful experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll let you know about that. I'll put some links in the show notes if this is the first episode you're listening to. Jump over to HikeordieTV.com, navigate your way to the podcast page, and you'll see a list of all the episodes there. Click on the episode that you want to kind of know more about, and I'll have a whole list of any videos or references that we've spoken about, and of course all our sponsors. Next, I spent 4 days last weekend down at Lamington National Park, kind of very close to where Craig was.
Yeah, so that's just around the corner.
Yes, it's very close, right?
Mm.
Yeah, and we had an absolutely fantastic time. Again, there was a fair bit of rain down there, but managed to kind of avoid most of it, but still get out there and not be shy, I guess. I went for a trail run down there actually, cool. Which is, I've been trail running before, but this is the first time I've been through thick, dense rainforest. You know, the border track?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the first 5Ks of the border track. And I think I scared a few people who were just trying to walk along. They just looked up, and I'm pretty quiet when I run. And a couple of people at the last minute saw this 6'2" bearded guy with all his hair flicking around, and
it's
just
not
coming straight onto him.
It's not often that you do see someone running around out
No,
there,
there's not. It's not. Like, no backpack, no water bottle, nothing at all, and sprinting towards them. There was a lot of international tourists there as well, and I think I freaked a few of them out. It gets freakier too, because then I turned around at 2.5K mark and come back, and there I am again, like hunting them down and screaming past them. Well, I had a fantastic time. I felt like I was sucking in some of the best oxygen known to man. It was awesome. Did pretty good time considering that I think I climbed 90 meters elevation throughout the run.
Yeah.
That was good. It was excellent. Did a lot of bird watching out there. There's a couple of kind of pretty rare birds, but again, I think it was the rain that just made them a bit more comfortable with staying out longer throughout the day because it was overcast.
Yeah, I saw more than ever yesterday.
Yeah, did you?
Yep,
yeah, well, that's an
absolutely.
interesting observation. So I saw the satin bowerbird,
Right.
male and female, and the regent bowerbird, which is the yellow one. Yeah,
Really?
and it took some food from my hand. It took a blueberry out of my hand. Deliberately. It didn't just come and steal it. I held my hand out.
While you're running at full pace?
Yeah. So, it was interesting. But
wow, that's
poor
cool.
thing was flying at full pace to try and get the blueberry. No, it was awesome. Saw tons of stuff. These little blue, I think they're called fairy wrens, iridescent blue, electric blue heads and bodies, just They just seem to be coming a lot closer. It was awesome. Yeah. Very, very good times were had. Hey, one other tiny bit of news. Well, it's not a tiny bit of news. Actually, it's a massive thing. But I often touch base with our sponsors and check in on just whatever's happening with them and any new stuff. And I spoke to the owner of Bluey Merino in an email and just said, hey, what's coming up, mate? Anything I should mention to the guys? And he said, we've got some super, super classified information that I'm happy for you to share. His first question was, do we have any US listeners? And I said, heck yes, we do.
Nice.
In fact, over 60% of our listeners are in the US. So thanks, guys, if you're listening.
Yep.
And I hope you can understand at least half of what we say. So anyway, here's the exciting stuff. If you hear us talk about Bluey Merino and you think that you can only get it in Australia, well, he's gearing up so that as of the 1st of August 2019, sounds like a long way away, but it's actually less than a year now, they will have they'll be based in Bend, Oregon, and they'll be distributing out of there directly to US customers so that they can service better to those guys. That's massive news. It's just massive.
Yeah, it's good.
I knew he was looking over that way to, he's been sending products that way, but now to actually go and set up over there and have another outlet's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good sign for the products, eh?
Yeah, it is, and it's a good sign for all of you guys to be able to get Australian merino wool.
Oh, for sure.
In your own backyard. And guess what else he said? This is a cool dude, this guy. Where's the bit in the email? He says, if any of your podcast listeners are local to Bend, Oregon, make sure they reach out to Bluey Merino and ask for Andrew Ross over the next couple of weeks. He's over there, and he'll shout you coffee and have a chat with him.
Oh, you got to do that.
You got to do that, please. Somebody, please, please. He's there until the 25th of October in Bend, Oregon. If you are anywhere near there,
yeah,
get in touch with me or get in touch with Bluey. Find out where he is. Go get that free coffee. Every time I speak to the guy on the phone, I'm there for a minimum of an hour. He's just such a good person to talk to. Yeah.
Oh,
anyway, it's good news all around. Good news for you guys. Let's jump straight into, I'm going to call it feedback this week because it's a shout out, but it's feedback as well. There was, first of all, our good friend, the girl with crayons, came back and gave us a little bit of extra info on the snake bite information. Remember we discussed that in the last podcast?
All right, yep.
Yeah, and you know how first aid often it evolves, which is why people have to keep updating their first aid.
Yeah, yep.
She said that something they're doing now in the most recent course she did is the packet in which you remove the snake bandage from. You just put that plastic, kind of whatever it is, put that against the bite and then wrap over the top of that. Purpose of that is so that the venom doesn't soak into the bandage, and then when you get to hospital, they struggle to find some venom to test to see what you were bitten by. You get what I mean?
Oh, right.
Yeah, so if you put that plastic wrapper on top of the bite mark, then wrap over it, when they get to the hospital, they remove the bandage, take the wrapper off, and the bite scene is untouched and it hasn't soaked the venom off there. Yeah.
Oh, so they must test that site sometimes.
Oh, that's what they do. Yeah, that's why they say you should never ever wash when you're being bitten by a snake. Never ever wash it, because if you get to the hospital and you've washed it, there's no way they can check exactly what snake it was and then find out which antivenin to grab for you. So I thought that was pretty interesting. After us talking about it in such detail, I thought it would be pretty useful to just mention that. I would have jumped back for a second because I missed one really cool bit of news. Have you heard of Alex Honnold?
Not sure.
No, he's a free solo climber. So that means he climbs with no ropes.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah, he's mad. He's mad. But he just did a TED talk about, when that default screen, I think you've got it on right there. No, that's your own. The default screen on Macs. Can you just move that window?
Yeah.
Let me see what.
Easily.
Okay, so
there he is.
That's Half Dome. He's scaled the front face of that without ropes.
What?
That was the first major thing he did.
Yeah.
And then the second one he did was El Capitan, which is in the same Yosemite Valley, but it's even more ridiculous. But the reason I wanted to just quickly mention him today is because he did a TED talk. Now, it's only about 12 minutes long, but he goes into some of the preparation for those climbs, and one of the moments where he kind of stressed out a bit and almost got into some difficulty. But I've watched the video, and it actually makes me feel a little bit physically ill watching him scale that face and knowing that he's just his fingers and his feet holding him on there. It just makes me feel ill. That's ridiculous. But
it's a bit insane, isn't it?
And I know, we kind of focus a lot on hiking, but I really appreciate other outdoor pursuits, and I appreciate the skill that it takes for somebody to do something like that. Yeah, so I'll put a link to that TED talk in the show notes. Anyway, you should check it out.
Yeah, that's good.
Where were we? Shim HD is a new subscriber of ours on YouTube, and he was asking a few questions about the difference between Australian national parks, campsites, and US, because he noticed that we were talking about if we went to a campsite and there were other people there that were carrying on like fools, that it would kind of ruin our trip. And he said, what do you kind of mean by that? Because in the US, or at least some parts from what he was explaining, is he'd just hike another mile and camp there. So, I explained it to him anyway. Basically, in a nutshell, we have designated kind of campsite areas within our national parks, which you predominantly stay at. And the reason for that is just to kind of keep all of the people going to one location instead of everyone spreading out and damaging more of the environment. So yeah, that's what I was getting to. But he also, made a comment that he thought it was just really interesting, and that he likes to hear about different cultures and the rules in other countries and how other people are kind of running their national parks. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thanks Shim HD. Thanks for dropping us a line and raising some good points.
Cool.
Last but not least is Alex Parsons, who goes by the name of Lex Parso on Instagram. She's a mad dog. She is a snowboarder. Sorry, jeez, I don't know. I'll probably get in trouble for calling her a skier. One, I mean, that'd be like when I used to surf, and if somebody called me a bodyboarder, I'd be horrified. Sorry, Alex Parsons is a snowboarder. She gets out and spends a whole bunch of time on epic mountains, and she dropped us a couple of really nice comments and said that she had listened to one of our podcasts, which I really appreciate. And then she came back a couple of days later and said, I've listened to all of them now and I'm really inspired to get out there.
Awesome.
And she also said, she's inspired to kind of inspire other women to get out there. Now, that was a comment also that the girl with crayons made, was that she's looking forward to hearing female voices on the podcast. And sometimes, just sometimes, we listen. Isn't that right, Craig?
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Yeah, exactly.
It might be time.
It might be time. We listen so much that I've gone through and found what I consider to be a hugely inspirational woman that we follow on Instagram, and we have for a long time. Her name's Tanya Hodgson, and she's into a whole bunch of stuff, Craig, hey? Like trail running and kayaking and riding horses. And
I couldn't keep up.
No, I couldn't keep up. She's just an incredible woman. And
amazing story.
Yeah, fantastic story. I just can't put it into words, so I don't want to try and do that. I just want to let you guys go and listen to it, and I know you'll enjoy it as much as we enjoyed recording it. Oh, wow. This is new.
That's good.
Isn't that the funky new Skype ringtone?
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Hold on. Going good. How are you guys?
Excellent.
Great.
What time is it there?
It is 6:33 now.
I hope we didn't get you up too early.
No, it's fine. I actually had to get up. I have to go take care of some cattle stuff later today anyway, so I'm up.
Wow.
Well, I'm Tom, this guy here. Can you see us?
Hi.
Hey,
Yes, I can.
and that's Craig.
Hey.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Yeah,
Thanks
too.
for, I know we spoke about it a few weeks ago and I gave you not nearly enough notice to get it together, but thanks for jumping on here with us today.
Oh, yeah, no problem. This is actually perfect because my kids are all gone, too, so you don't hear, children running around or anything like that screaming, so.
Yeah, Craig's are asleep, so we're all good here too. It's, what time
Exactly.
is it? It's about half past 11 at night here.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. You guys are tired, too, then.
We're getting there, yeah. The funny thing is, since I spoke to you on Instagram this morning, I've been awake the whole time and you've gone to bed and woken up.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
I know, huh?
It's hard to put into perspective. So how many kids do you have anyway?
I have two boys. I have a 8 and 10-year-old.
8 and 10.
Or almost 9-year-old, almost 11-year-old, I guess. We're kind of nearing the end of the year here, so they start changing.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah, I've got 3 boys. Craig's got a boy and 2 girls.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So yeah,
Okay, Craig, now since you have a girl and boy, what do you think is the most dramatic out of the two?
Oh, yeah, the girls are insane. They're still pretty young, but they are very difficult.
It's true. The boys cry more though. Seriously, like when I had the boys, I was like, "Oh, great, cool. They'll be tough. I can totally just take them everywhere with me, and they're not gonna. They're boys. Boys don't cry. No, they cry. Boys cry.
Yeah.
My niece is a handful. I have one niece. Everybody else in my family is boys, and I have one niece, and she's a handful. She's the most dramatic thing ever, but that girl will not cry for anything. My boys will cry if they don't get something. I'm like, oh my God, I thought girls were supposed to do that.
Yeah.
I still cry when I don't get stuff.
Yeah, I do too. Quietly, though, not in front of the boys, because I don't want to give them any ideas that it's okay.
Yeah. It's something I see a lot through your Instagram feed is you're always dragging the boys out to places. Is that a
They don't have a choice.
My next question was, is that a conscious thing, or surely every photo I see they look like.
When we were kids, my mom and my dad, they're pretty active people. My dad, he bought a boat, and we used to travel around to all the lakes around here and stuff, and we'd go to Lake Powell, Lake Mead, and all the different places. And so traveling has been kind of in our family since me and my sisters were little. And then my mom she used to be really into bike riding and stuff like that. She would do the death ride and everything up over the passes and the mountains and everything. So being active and everything has always been in our lives. And when I never planned on having kids, but when I had the boys, I was just like, everybody's, it was during the time where everybody who had kids, they would just like, oh, wow, we'll put them in daycare and stuff. I'm like, why? It's so much fun to bring them with us, So, like, I'd start going hiking. I'd have them in packs, and my boys are not quite 2 years apart. So, like, with my running, and I have them in a double jogging shoulder, and I'd run with them everywhere. And then when I'd hike and everything, I'd just have one in the pack, and I'd pick one up and hold him. It was like nonstop. But they're totally into it now. Is the fun thing. I mean, now it's with them being older, it's so much funner to take them places. Like moving here to Oregon has been. We lived in Reno, Nevada for a long time, and that was okay because we'd go up to Tahoe and hike around and stuff.
Yeah,
but it's Lake Tahoe. It's a tourist trap. I mean, it's so hectic there. So moving out here was great because it's another outdoor mecca. And then like up about 2 hours away is Bend, Oregon. Bend, Oregon, same thing. It's an outdoor mecca as well.
We were just talking about Bend in the intro because we're ambassadors for a merino company in Australia. And the owner is in Bend for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's going to be opening. Yeah, he's going to be opening up basically another point there where he can distribute to US customers.
Sweet.
That's cool.
I can't believe that. Because he said to me in an email, "Do you know anyone who lives near Bend?" And it's just hilarious.
Me.
Yeah, the guest we've got on. Of course, that's why we planned it.
Yeah. It's neat up there. I mean, like where I live and everything, we're more, there's like a lot of ranchers and stuff around here, a lot of cattle people and everything, but like we're right below Crater Lake National Park. I mean, literally it's a half hour for me to get up there. I practically live there in winter. Yeah. And so it's like
awesome.
when we came back to this area, my dad lives here, and we came back and I was like, boys, you guys, man, you thought you hiked a lot before. Every day we're going to be hiking now.
Yeah, I just took I spent 4 days away last weekend and took my boys out on what I'd consider the first 2 real hikes. So we were up in the mountains, and I took them into these rainforests, and both hikes, 2 consecutive days, was sort of around 5 to 6 kilometers each day, and one day it was raining a bit, and not a peep. Like they were so into it, just so into it, enthusiastic.
How old are your boys?
So I've got a 3, 7, and 9. I just took the 7 and the 9 on the hikes.
Don't take the 3-year-old.
I don't want to carry him, man. He scares. He's the kind of kid, like when he gets going, you see that scene from a horror movie where all the birds fly away.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't
I have a nephew
take
like
you.
that. So yeah.
No, they're too
That's
older
great, though.
boys.
I mean, it's amazing though how much like for a little kid with those little bitty legs, they actually have a lot of endurance.
They
do.
they
need to stop and eat every 5 seconds, but
Yeah,
I mean they still like the boys have summited Mount McLaughlin over here, and I mean it's not that huge of a mountain, but it's a big thing for when they start summiting it. Wyatt, my youngest, he was 5. So then Tucker would have been, at that time, Tucker, I believe, was 6 at the time. So they both summited this mountain
Such cool names.
At that
Just got to interject there.
It was all day.
Really
It was all day. Literally, we got up there when it was dark. We left when it was dark. But it was, I mean, they did it. And then we have consistently done it every single year ever since we've moved back here. So it's like, it's great, though. I'm just impressed with kids and their endurance, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
With lots of candy, lots of snacks the whole time. You got to just keep feeding them.
The only reason I have a backpack is to carry their shit to eat.
Yeah, exactly. That's like me, and like 50 extra water bottles, because at some point they will find a way to, drip it along the trail and then like stop and make stuff with it. I'm like, dude, that's your water. You need that. They're great.
Oh, that's cool. No, it's always a pleasure seeing you out with those boys, and I couldn't quite, because sometimes maybe they've got a friend along, so I didn't quite know how many were yours.
Yeah, they do. Well, I have, like I said, I've got a lot of family too, and I have a little brother actually who is. When I was 21 years old, my mom had a surprise baby, and that's my little brother, and he is 2 years older than my oldest son. So right now he is 12 years old.
Oh, so potentially he's in some of the photos.
He's my kid.
Yeah, of course. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
He likes to come up here too. He doesn't really do the hiking stuff as much as we do, but we make him because it's fun.
Yeah. You got to make people hike. They eventually love it.
Yeah. He'll do it because he likes to go with us, and we always when my other dog that I had, Juno, the one that died, and then now we have another new Timberwolf mix with a German Shepherd. That's Boo is his name. That's the kids named him because he's white. So he's Boo like a ghost. And I swear to God, having a dog or a pet kind of gets everybody out there more because it's just, I don't know what it is. They like to walk with them or something or go and do stuff with them. I don't know. Which is great. I'll use it.
I was actually going to ask you about that. I didn't know how much of a delicate topic it was because I was confused about why there was this new dog popping up, and because I mean, how long have we've been following each other for years, so
for a while,
yes, it's been at least a couple of years. So I've seen this dog, and then there's this other one, and I figured something might have happened, so I didn't want to delve into it. I lost a dog sort of three years ago, so I know what it's like. It's pretty full on for the whole family. Yeah.
It sucks. Well, especially, everybody who has followed me a long time on Instagram knows Juno. They knew Juno,
Which one did he look? What did he look like?
Juno was the husky, the black and white husky.
Yeah. Awesome looking
with the
dog.
Blue eyes. That was Juno.
Yeah. I remember him.
He was only 5. He killed a porcupine. I was at work one day, and I was gone all day. He was in the backyard. He has a runner set up out there, and I had him on his runner, and he killed a porcupine. And I came back, and he's just covered in quills, And so I went and I pulled him all out. I put him in his bed, but one had gone down, like he had swallowed one.
Oh, serious?
Down and punctured his lungs.
Horrific.
He died. Very traumatic way for him to die, especially because, the next morning, we get up, we're expecting him to be, a little messed up and all, but alive. And me and the kids walk out, and he's in his kennel just dead. Oh, and it was like, oh God,
that's
and trying to get the boys were in school at the time, and I was like, oh, you get to school, just go to school. Mom will take care of this, So, and we gave it all summer and stuff like that. And, kids, everybody keeps saying when you lose a dog to replace it with another dog because, there's no love like a dog's love. And it's just like, I couldn't. I was like, no.
No, it's the same.
I felt like I was praying Juno if I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt exactly the same.
This dog that we have now, yeah, exactly. And the kids, you got to kind of, the way I had to do it is just do it for the boys, basically, because I wasn't ready, but they were. And I was like, I'm not going to, just because I'm sad still, I'm not going to, not let them grow up with a dog, So we actually, this dog that I have now, a lady in Grass Valley just was like, hey, I don't want him anymore. So I drove over to California one day and picked him up and brought him back home. And he's a lot of fun. He's a great dog. Same type of temperament as my other dog was. He's a German Husky, and he's got really high content Timberwolf in him, so he likes to challenge everybody. He's only 8 months old or 9 months old, I believe now. So he's been a lot of fun. He's like having another kid, though. I mean, I swear to God, I'm sitting there going,
He's a good looking boy
not really
too,
having
though.
That much fun with it.
Yeah, he's a good looking dog. That one.
Yeah, and he's an awesome dog.
Yeah, he gets out, runs with you.
I bet he loves your lifestyle. Does he always keep up? Keeps up okay?
Yeah, he goes on all the hikes. He's the way that I'm not going to start running him until about he's over a year old.
Yep.
Just because he's got so much German Husky or the German Shepherd in him, So when I took him into the vet, and he goes, wait till he's after a year old so we can kind of finish with his joints forming before we start running him. Yep. So he hikes every single day with us. So that's great.
Oh, sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah, tell us more about this trail running. Is it something? All I see is pictures of you either running or kayaking or riding horses, but the running kind of intrigues me. I think that's what first caught my attention.
Yeah, well, the running. Well, I don't even remember where that started. Well, originally when I started running, I think it was after I had Wyatt. And we were living in Nevada still, in Reno. And it was like, oh, okay, well, I need to get in shape, but I don't want to. Every time you ever start a gym membership, you ever notice how you'll pay it but not go?
Yeah.
That's me anyway.
That's 98% of people.
So I was like, okay, well, yeah, well, I mean, it's like, like in Reno, it was easy because everything was right there, but I always knew I'd be moving eventually back out to the country. So I was like, okay, well, I was like, well, I got a pair of running shoes and some t-shirts and shorts. I'll just start running. And I started running after Wyatt was like, I think 9 months old or something like that. And then just kind of got hooked to it and eventually kind of blew out my knee and my hip and everything like that, where it sucked to do anything because I was running on the road all the time. So, I don't remember who it was, but like I think it was another runner on one of the trails I was doing out there in Truckee, and he goes, "Why don't you go completely to dirt?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "It's way softer on your joints, so much easier, and so much fun because you get to see all these beautiful places, you know." And I was like, "Yeah." So that started that obsession, which I love that obsession.
Yeah.
And then coming out here, I mean, like it's kind of like a little hidden gem out here. There's so many. We have like Sky Lakes Wilderness. I often when I put pictures up on Instagram of me hiking or me trail running, I'm in Sky Lakes Wilderness. It's one of my favorite places to be.
Right.
And it literally, I mean, there's trails all over in there and just beautiful and it literally Sky Lakes. I mean, there's lakes everywhere. You go up around a corner somewhere and all of a sudden there's just random little lake just way out in the middle of the wilderness. It is so cool. And it's like, again, though, same thing. I mean, it's such a low populated area and everybody that comes here, the draw is Crater Lake National Park. Nobody even touches all these little fun trails on the outsides of it, which is fine with me because then they're all mine. So
yeah, that is good. Yeah, we know a couple of pockets like that around our kind of local area where it's nice to not have to run into people.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun sometimes, but like when you live in like places like Tahoe and Reno and all you had to deal with was people all the time, like you never could just go and enjoy something because there's always someone there snapping a picture right next to you. It's just like, all right, I need my place now.
For sure. Was it the running that led to the other outdoor stuff, or was it the catalyst, or what came first?
For as far as like the kayaking and pretty much everything outdoors,
I just guess
stuff.
Everything else, the hiking and all of that.
When we were kids, my dad got really into whitewater kayaking.
Right.
And so I guess in a way he's the one who pretty much turned us on to all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I have two sisters and all of us, that was life. My mom would take us on walks and hikes and my dad would too. And we've always been exposed to that. And when we wanted to try something or do something, he was always 100% supportive of it if it had to do with, being outdoors and adventurous and all that fun stuff. So like our first mountain bikes when we were kids, he got his mountain bikes. We had this really cool piece of property out in Rogue River, Oregon. And we had all these little trails all over the place and we'd ride our bikes on all these little trails and just, it was fun. I mean, that's how we were raised basically. So when I got older, he actually gave me his whitewater kayak and I started kayaking a lot more and stuff like that. And then when I had the kids, I was just like, well, yeah, okay, then they started coming out with all these really fun kayaks. Let's sit on top ones and stuff that doesn't even roll over. Even if you try to roll it over, it won't roll over.
Yeah, some good
stuff. So I was like, and they're fun. And again, same thing around here. I live on the Williamson River, which is a trophy fishing river. So like the ranch that I live on and I run and manage and stuff like that, the biggest draw to this ranch is because of the river that we live on. And for me, it actually turned out to be a business on top of running this is I rent out kayaks from my home too. Because again, it's just this area is so unexplored and it's like, well, we have lakes around here. We have creeks that are like rivers. We have everything. And it's just such, you can't pass it up, So I like accidentally last year I had one of my kayaks in the bed of my truck and I was over next door and this guy walks up and he goes, "Hey, do you rent that?" And I was like, "Yeah.
Hell yes, I do."
So I became a business owner of kayak rentals accidentally.
That's funny. You're really selling it to us. I'm just wondering when we're going to organize to come over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Huh? Come on. Well, see, the best part of it is the house. So on my ranch, the one I run this, it's ranch is like 140 acres. It's called Silverbow Ranch. It's a cattle ranch. So I have one house and then there's a main house on the property and there's two people who own the ranch. Well, like when I first moved here and I started working for them, I was like, well, you guys are never at this house and it's such a neat location, it's so cool out here. How about we like rent out? So like we went on to the VRBO website, the vacation rentals, and like we started renting out the house, and that's what we do with it now. So I mean, it's like, hey, you guys plan a trip over here. I have a nice ass place for you to stay.
That's so our house.
Tempting. For sure.
But yeah, it is such a cool spot, and like with me personally, my favorite state is Oregon. If in all the states I could pick here in the U.S. and whatnot, Oregon it's always been home to me. When we were little, my dad was a police officer in Rogue River, Oregon, so we mostly grew up there. And then I've lived everywhere. I mean, I've lived in California, I've lived in Nevada, I've lived in Utah, I've lived in Tennessee, I've lived in Arizona. I've lived a lot of places, but Oregon was always the draw. It was always to come back here and stuff. And this area that I live in of Oregon is so cool because, like, you hear about Oregon being rainy and stuff like that, Well, I'm in like what's called I guess it's the high desert area of Oregon. So we have all the forests, we have all the trees. It's all nice and green, but it doesn't get as much rain. It's, there's sagebrush and stuff like that around here. You still see snakes and whatnot. It's kind of the best of both worlds as far as I'm concerned. Same with Bend. Bend's the same type of thing. So and that's what one of the draws of Bend is, is because it's not like these. You can actually go outside without having to have an umbrella or a raincoat all through the year, So they're really, and Bend's a really beautiful area too. It's like I said, it's such a neat area, and it's so widely known is the thing with it, because like right outside of Bend, Smith Rock, that's another place I'll put on my Instagram quite often, is Smith Rock State Park. I love Smith Rock. It's so cool. But like Bend, they have a lot of ski resorts up there. They've got way more trail systems than we do here. They've got rivers. They got the same thing, but just more of a heavily populated area than what it is down here.
So what sort of time
cool.
is it? How long does it take to get from, say, where you are to Bend? Like, what's the physical time there to get to that?
It takes like 2 hours to get up there.
Okay, 2 hours drive, right.
Yeah, it's north of me, and I don't remember the miles or whatnot, but it's about 2 hours to get there. It's just kind of a straight shot that way.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, I go up there. The beauty of Bend, too, is like when you do get to go up there, you get to be outside and stuff, but then like, unfortunately we have to shop for stuff. We have to get things to be able to survive. And the Chiloquin Klamath Falls area, there's nothing here. Like there's a Walmart. So I mean, yeah, it's if you can get stuff at Walmart, you're good. But it's like nope. So Bend is like my weekend getaway. If I ever have to go like get shopping and want to do some outdoor fun stuff, I go right to Bend.
Wow,
that's my kind of girls' weekend, I guess.
That doesn't sound like it. Any of your weekends don't sound like typical girls' weekends.
Yeah, I know.
Tanya,
it was like, no, wait, you're supposed to go to like the day spas. No,
Tanya,
not me.
You obviously have heaps of fun out there, but do you stay overnight much? Do you get out camping?
Oh yeah. You kind of have to around here. I mean, like, well, there's this area all along the coast that we go to a lot. It's the coast from the Oregon coast from me is about 3.5 hours away. So easy drive, no big deal. Like I could just drop everything and go anytime I feel like it, But there's this area, it's called Brookings, Oregon. It's like one of my favorite little towns on the coast. And the Chetco River feeds right there into the ocean. And one of my another favorite camping area for me and the kids is right there on the Chetco River. It's so neat because you just drive up, you no longer have cell phone service, nobody can get a hold of you. Nice. It's roughing it. I mean, there is no designated camp areas. It's just like this little like rocky beach along the river there, and you can either like sleep in the bed of your truck or just throw a tent up and kind of wedge yourself in between the rocks and hope that you're comfortable.
Sounds wild. Yeah,
but like yeah, exactly. Here there's this one of our little favorite kind of just like in summertime and stuff like that, when it starts getting really busy for me and stuff, I try to take the boys at least every day when they're with me, outside, walk something,
Yep.
But like it's hard for me to kind of commit to a camping trip in summer because summer is my busiest time of the year. But like there's this area called Jackson Kimball, and I've had that on Instagram before too. I believe it's like that big blue pool. It's so pretty up there. But they have like, you know, some kind of rough little camping areas up there. And so the boys and I will go throw a tent up there, go to work for the day and come back and just sleep in the tent. And that's kind of,
awesome.
It's like 15 miles away. It's super easy to get there, you know. So
cool.
that's the best I can do in summer.
Oh, that's good. I'm sure they appreciate that though. That's excellent. Hey, can I ask you about the tattoo on your arm?
Oh, that one.
Does it say miles to go before I sleep?
Yes.
I thought so. I
Okay.
saw it in a. Can you tell us about that?
The backstory? Okay. Well, it actually applies to a lot of things. When I was about 15 years old, I got really into drugs, and I was on like methamphetamines and stuff like that. I was on speed and whatnot for about 5 years,
Yep.
till I was 20. So I cleaned myself up. That's when I moved to Tennessee. I moved to Tennessee with a friend to get away from it, went to work, did a bunch of stuff, got clean all on my own, came home and just, you know, try to do the best I could in the area that started the drug use, I guess you could say.
Right.
That's when I met my kids' dad, and he actually really helped me in that path because he's actually a really, really good guy. But there was something about somebody one time when I was struggling through it, they're like, well, you just don't give up. You know, you just keep going. You keep piling on the miles. You keep going ahead with it, you know?
Yep.
And I was like, oh, cool. And then when I started running, same thing. There was like, we had this mantra about, okay, one more mile, and then we'll sleep, you know? Well, so then this is a Robert Frost poem, and it's
Right.
the walk through woods or whatever. I can't remember what the poem is, but it was a really cool poem that we had to recite as kids in school, you know? And so one day I was just I was going through some stuff. At the time, my kids were still in my homeschool that I was doing with them, and we were going through poems and stuff like that, and that poem came up. And I was just like, oh my God, miles ago before I sleep. That is so funny because that's in a roundabout way been kind of a mantra as far as like, you know, just,
Yeah,
you know,
it's perfect.
continuing on with life and continuing to try to do it right in running and in hiking and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Even
yep.
with the boys, you know, we keep going. Like when we'd come home sometimes from a really stressful hike where
Yeah.
I'd had them out all day and it was getting dark and we were like tired, you know. I was just like, boys, just like a couple more miles and we'll sleep, you know? So
Yeah.
same kind of thing. It's basically not giving up, keep pushing yourself, that kind of thing. And so when I found the poem and remembered all that, I was like, oh my God, that is just perfect, you know? So
That's
I
great.
went down to my favorite tattoo shop here and I was like, put it on there.
I think that's funny. Not funny is not the right word. An interesting observation is when you see your Instagram, like I said, I've been watching you for years, right? You get this interpretation that everything's always been that way. You're super fit, like you're a beast. You're just this machine. You know, you're a good specimen. You know, I'm sure you're inspiring lots of other people, males and females. I hope a lot of females. I know you would be. There's, you know, to be honest, one of the reasons that I really wanted to get you on here was because I did a hike with some girls it was a couple of months ago now, and they were it was their first hike, and it just blew their mind. And I ended up we did a whole podcast about it, and I started to get so much feedback from, and one of the questions was, hey, we'd love to kind of hear from a woman on the podcast, you know, hear the other side of things. And I just thought, well, that's when I hassled you the first time. I thought, well, here's a perfect example of someone who's just out there kicking ass. But to go back to my original point, we see that snapshot and we assume that it's always been that way. And it honestly wasn't until there was a post that you put up with like a photo of you kind of now and then a photo from 12 years ago. And you put in that spiel about the addictions and stuff, and it was, you know, shocking to me to think, oh wow, there was something before this, and it wasn't always this. And what is there I mean, you physically moved across the country to get away from it, but it sounds to me like you kind of lost that outdoors part of your life there for a while as well. Would that be correct?
Yeah, there was a time, yeah, because it was, I don't know, when you're in, like if you've ever met people with addictions and stuff like that, and if the addiction has to do with alcohol or with drugs and stuff, they don't even know themselves. They've lost a piece of themselves. And so, like with me, starting at 15, it was just like, well, I'm 15. It's, it's not a big deal, whatever. I can get out of this anytime I want. And I never ever thought that I was addicted to it. And I mean, it got to a point there where like my friend, one of my best friends, and to this day, he's still my best friend. And he struggled a lot getting clean. He was in it too, pretty bad. And he's done so well for himself as well, where he's got a family now. He's clean. He counsels other drug users and stuff. But at the time, he and I were both using pretty heavily. And this one day, he just was like, you're like wasting away. We got to get out of here. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Because like I still had a job. I had a car. Yep. I mean, I still worked and everything. He goes, you're not you. He goes, I've known you since you were 15 years old. And he goes, I've watched you just go away, basically. And so it's like, okay, and so we got up and left. And like, I remember when I left at like midnight and just took off across. It's like a 2-day drive to Tennessee. And I was just like, I walked in my mom's house and I was like, Mom, I think I was 18 at the time. And I was like, Mama, 18, or I just turned 19. And I was like, Mom, I got to go. I'm leaving. She's crying, and I'm just like, I got to go. And I couldn't explain it to her because in my mind, I still didn't think that she knew that I was doing drugs, but she knew. Right. But I mean, to me, I was hiding it so well.
Yeah, right.
And she's crying and she's upset and everything, I was just like, I got to do this. And so like where I was born in Northern California. It's in the foothills of California. It's this little town called San Andreas, Calaveras County, Angels Camp. Like anybody who's heard of it, it's like a rare thing for people to hear about it.
Right.
But it's kind of an outdoor type of area as well. I mean, they've got some outdoor stuff. They got some trails. We'd always, when we lived there, we'd go to Lake Maloney's and we'd hike around the lake. We'd be out on the lake on the boats and stuff like that.
Yep.
But like, again, yeah, same thing. When I lost so much of that in that time frame, it never, you don't even think of that. You don't realize that you're like stepping away from your life. And so like I'm out in Tennessee and I got clean. Like I said, I was working, and the thing that kind of brought me home and really finished waking me up was my little sister was graduating high school and I wasn't even there. And It was just like, dude, I have missed out on my sister's lives, and my mom and my sisters were best friends. I mean, I'm super close with my family. Yep. My family is everything to me. And so hearing my mom called me. I'd had a phone at that time, and she calls me and she goes, Leanne is graduating high school. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like 2 days away. Right. And so I got in my car, I said goodbye to everybody, and I drove without sleeping for 2 days straight, all the way back to like Petaluma, California. Got in the truck with my friend, and we drove back up to Calaveras County where my little sister's graduating. And I was walked up as everybody's walking into the auditorium for her graduation. I didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew about it. Walked up and put my arm around her. I was like, hey, I love you and stuff like that. And they're like, everybody starts crying and stuff. And that was a huge wake up call too. Cause like, again, I didn't even realize how bad I'd been hurting my family. So basically, I came back to the place I started the drugs in. So, there was still some struggles when I came home and stuff like that. Yep. And I tried to like stay away from it, try to meet better people and make different friends. I went back to, I actually bought my grandma's cleaning company from her and was cleaning and stuff like that. I had a pretty big business going and everything. And I started going out walking. I started playing tennis, actually, is what I was doing. And then I would go out and I'd walk around this little cute neighborhood that we lived in. And then I'd start hiking up in all the mountains and stuff that I hiked at as a kid. When we were little girls, we used to be in these mountains and stuff like that, and the Lake Alpine and whatnot. And basically, I traded one addiction for another.
Yep.
I basically went from being addicted to drugs to just being addicted to staying physical and being outdoors, and outdoors became my drugs, and, you know, staying in shape and everything like that, and pushing myself to all kinds of limits. That was my replacement. So that's basically the best way I could sum it up. Is I'm still an addict. I mean, anybody that talks to me about it, you know, like, oh, you used to do drugs and you used to be addicted to stuff. And I was like, man, I'm still an addict. I'll never not be an addict. You know, but I just changed the thing I'm addicted to now, you know? So instead of it being a drug, it's still a drug, I guess. Cause I mean, anybody who's been out there, anybody who's, you know, like you hike and you set a goal. Yeah. You set a goal out there and
it's definitely,
you hit that goal.
You don't go out there because you want to feel the same as you do here. Right.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Some of our worst.
There's no better high than that.
Yeah. Some of our worst hikes are the ones, when I say worst, like we've overcome some kind of adversity or been caught in a storm or got lost, or
those are the best ones.
When Craig got 100 leeches on him.
Oh
no! We don't stop talking about those ones. I particularly like that story though.
Oh yeah, sounds good from your side.
When he had to go and explain it to the doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, he'd never seen anything like that.
Oh man, he looked like some
I've had 2 leeches on me at one time, and I freaked out. I can't stand leeches; they're so gross. So I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out for you right now.
I was disgusted in him.
He wouldn't let me stop to take them off either. Yeah.
Oh god,
it was so good.
No, it was insane.
That's awesome. That's a fantastic story. I knew there must have been some catalyst there, but it's always great to hear that kind of getting out in the wilderness is the winner. Like I always think it beats so many things. I know it does for me. You know, Craig was just saying to me literally this week that he was going a bit crazy because he hadn't been out for a few weeks. So he was out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was out all day yesterday, so he's okay now.
Yeah, doing it tough for a while.
Yeah, I wouldn't have come around if he was cranky.
No. But I mean, that's actually really, you kind of feel like you are. I mean, like once you get out there and you start being, you know, like you get onto a system basically of like being outside all the time, and then when you have to be cooped up for at least like 2 days, it kills you. It's like I gotta go. I gotta get out there now.
So I'm starting to get the picture, Tanya, of that you've got a job at your house there, but you get to go outside near a lake and do the canoes every day. Is that right?
Yeah, for the most part. Right now, I mean, our season is here. It's fall. It's getting close to the snow season and whatnot. My job, I actually have a lot of jobs, but like my main job here at my place is right on a river. I mean, I live right next to the Williamson River. So that's one of kind of the main areas that I'll like, you know, if I put kayakers out there, or if I'm kayaking myself, it's right there. But like my personal favorite of places that I go is the same area where I take the kids camping. We're one a night type of camping, the Jackson Kimball area. There's this little river. It's called Wood River. And it's so cool. And like, you just like, the kids and I will head up there. We drop our kayaks off at the spot that we put in at, and then we drive my truck back down and leave it at like a day use area. And then they ride their little bikes and I run, and we go back up to where the kayaks are. And it's like 3-mile run ride back up, and then we go down this Wood River for like, I mean, it could take you 4 hours, and you wouldn't think so if you're going like a straight shot from where you parked versus when you're coming back down on the river, you're going, why is this taking so long? The river is just amazing. It just winds way out, and it's like there's these awesome like aspen groves and trees, and then you get into the areas where all the cattle ranchers and stuff, they have all their neat little setups out there and stuff, and it's beautiful. The water I don't think ever gets above 40 degrees, so that's not as fun. It's freaking cold.
All right.
But it's stunning. It is such a beautiful area. And then like there's this state park up the road from us. It's called Collier Memorial State Park. When I first moved here, I lived right across the road from it. So I would get out and I would go across the highway with Juno when Juno was still alive, and he and I would run all around in this park because there's little trails out there. That's one of the parks I'm always like, I have a lot of Instagram pictures there and stuff as well. And there's this creek which is really big. It's more like a river, but it's this big old creek, and it's called Cold Springs, and it is, or Spring Creek, not Cold Spring. Cold Springs is a trail somewhere.
Oh, they're all cold, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, Spring Creek. Like Spring Creek. The thing with the rivers and creeks around here is they're all headwaters, and so like they come from under the ground.
Oh, wow.
You go up to where they start, and they're bubbling up from the ground
wow.
and becoming these creeks and rivers. Coolest thing in the world to see. It is so neat. But they don't ever get like Spring Creek. I think its average is 37 degrees Fahrenheit all through the year. It doesn't matter if we have a hot summer or not. It's always that cold.
Always the same.
Wow.
What is that?
Yeah. So on a dare one time, my sister dared me to jump in it, and that was. I don't do that anymore. That was like my head hurt because I jumped for some reason and got my head under, and I came out and I was like, brain freeze. Yeah, that was happening from jumping in that creek.
What did you say that was in Fahrenheit? I'm just going to do the conversion. Did you say 38?
It's 37.
Oh, 37.
Yeah.
37. Sorry, I'm just doing this because here we
It's
go.
okay.
Oh, okay.
It says 6 inches. I don't quite understand.
It says 3 degrees.
Oh, man. That's
3
cold.
degrees Celsius.
It's cold.
Yeah, that's pretty cold. Yeah, that's a lot of things are not happy when you get in cold water like that.
But then it never does. That's the thing. Like, people don't believe you, and it's beautiful. I mean, you go up there and you can see all the way to the bottom of that creek, and there's parts of it that look like someone took like a blue coloring crayon and colored the water. It is so blue. And everybody's like, no. And, that can't be true. I'm like, go up there and look. It's amazing, But, like, one of my favorite things is when I send my kayakers out there, and I go, don't get in the water. It'll be like a hot day up here, maybe like in the 90s or whatever. And I'm like, you guys don't get in the water. It's freezing. They're like, well, it's hot outside. I'm like, it's freezing. It's cold. Just trust me. And nobody believes me. And so, like, I drop them off. I come back and get them. They're like, yeah, we got in the water. I'm like,
How'd you go?
You probably regretted that, huh? They're like, yeah, that was cold. I'm like, yeah, I told you. It is.
Hey,
but I mean, like, out here, we actually get extreme cold in the winter. I mean, we have all 4 seasons. We have snow in winter. Fall, we got our leaves changing. It gets cold and all that stuff. Our lake. So I live like on the Klamath Lake area as well, and that lake will completely freeze over in winter.
Wow.
That's solid. You can walk out on it. So it gets cold.
Yeah. Do you get snow like right at your house there, or do you have to go up to altitude to get it? Just right next to your house.
Here. Yeah, it's like, I think we're at 4,400 foot or something like in the elevation here.
Okay.
So we're pretty high. We're high enough to get snow. We do get snow. Like I said, though, we're high desert, so it's kind of picky about when it drops snow. But like, I've had to shovel out of my garage a few times to get out and go and stuff like that. And then, you go up to Crater Lake. I have my truck. I mean, I have a lifted truck with big old tires on it and stuff like that. And during winter, when you go to Crater Lake, the berms on the side of the road from where they're plowing are taller than my truck. They're taller than me standing in the bed of my truck trying to look over a berm. That's how much snow they get up there. So
wow. Sometimes
we get that snow down here. Not quite that much, but a lot.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. We can't imagine that.
I love it. Do you guys get snow over in your area at all?
No, not where we are. The closest I've heard of snow to here would be 3-4 hours away, which was, I'm talking about
Stanthorpe or something.
Stanthorpe, which is really only a light dusting, It's not a permanent thing. Like, it's gone by the next day. Yeah. But there is alpine areas down south of Australia where they'll have snow all the time. But we certainly don't experience that here. Australia's just so vast and diverse that desert in the middle, we're closer to kind of rainforests and beaches, and then like I said, alpine regions down south and just everything in between. It's pretty interesting. Yeah.
That's cool. And now it stays pretty warm all through the year, though, there, huh?
It's not, I mean, it depends who you talk to. I think, it does. Yeah. I mean, someone like yourself would come over and be in a T-shirt in our winter. Yeah. But the locals that have grown up here complain about the cold, and I know it's not cold because I've been to other places.
Yeah.
It's not cold. Especially
That's like my.
Sorry, you go. Yep.
What was that?
I was just going to say.
I was gonna,
I feel there was a trip I did about 2 years ago down to a really cold place, and I actually did a lot of climatizing before that and just getting ready for it. And ever since that, that's actually stuck with me. Funnily enough, I don't understand it because I'm not one of those people who I just don't like the cold, but the mental shock is kind of been removed now. I still feel the cold, but I don't get as agitated as I used to. So I'm kind of pretty grateful for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of all it really takes. You're like my mom and my sisters. I'm the only one who lives where there's snow, basically. My mom and sisters, they're all desert dwellers, or we call them desert rats, basically. So like they're in Arizona, for instance, you know?
Yep.
And like, same thing though, is for me, like you were saying, that kind of the mental thing of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a big fan of extreme heat. Like 90s is pushing it for me, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That's starting to push it a little too much for me, you know, but I'll do it. But like when they all move to Arizona, they like, it'll be, you know, nights in Arizona are still in the hundreds, and it's just like, and they love it. And I'm just like, oh God, how can you guys even do anything, you know?
90 degrees.
So
that's 32.
yeah, I'm a wimp.
Oh, jeez. It's like that's at 32 in the morning here. No, I'm kidding.
See?
No, in summer.
That's like Arizona. That's like where my mom and my sisters all are and stuff, because, and you know, it'll get to like 120 degrees there in the middle of the day. And I'm just like,
yeah,
that just doesn't sound fun. It just does not sound fun
no, it's
at
not that
all.
good. No, we get up to around 110, 113. Like, that's about 40 degrees,
but
45, 40, 45. But that's not fun for anybody.
No.
Well,
and the thing of it is, though, I mean, like you were saying, though, it definitely changes, like, kind of your approach to things, I guess you could say. Because, like, I remember when I was a kid, heat used to irritate me.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be, like, mad if it was hot, and, like, mad if I was sweating and stuff like that. And then when they all moved, they originally lived in, like, the Palm Springs area. Same thing. In Palm Springs, California, it gets really hot. And then when they moved to Arizona, it's even hotter. And, like, I went down there one summer, and I had to get used to getting up at, like, 4 a.m. to go run trail. And it didn't matter if it was 4 a.m, you had a light on, you're thinking, well, it should be colder. You're still in shorts and a tank top, dripping sweat as you're out there running, right? And it's just like, God, you know, how do you guys do this? And but literally it did. It completely changed my approach to it and my ability to deal with it, you know?
Yep.
So it's like now here when it gets really hot, everybody's like, oh my God, it's hot. I'm just like, oh, well, you know, it sucks, but it is what it is. I don't freak out as much because I'm like, it's still not as hot as Arizona.
No, I truly believe that extreme heat and cold are just conditioning elements, like a form of pain almost, that once you keep stretching those boundaries, you just learn to not kind of freak out about them.
Well, that actually is kind of what got me into endurance running and stuff like that, and actually, I guess, kind of conditioned me to be able to handle endurance running. Was when I lived in the Reno area, I lived in the Truckee Tahoe area for a long time, and Truckee Tahoe, I mean, that area still holds records for some of the coldest temperatures in Northern California, or not, I think actually in the U.S. Well, maybe it's just the northern side of the U.S. or something. I don't remember what it is, but it gets freaking cold there, and they get a lot of snow, and I would run all the time. I would run and like come home and I'd have icicles in my eyelashes, you know, and like any hair that was exposed would be white from my breath blasting back on it and freezing, you know?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So, but like that's when I first started out in the whole running thing, and I would only be doing like 3 miles a day, but like, it's amazing how that does. It changes your perspective and changes the way you can handle things. And like after that is when I started doing like the ultra marathons and stuff like that. And it was just like, you know, you get out there and you're running trails for like, you know, 50 miles and you're like, dude, I ran when it was like minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit. I can run through anything.
That's crazy.
Is that what sort of distances are you doing? Is that 50 mile? Is that kind of where you Is that your comfort level there? Like, is that your maxing out there, or?
That's not my maxing out. That's just kind of like this year. This year I've just been running to, like any outdoor stuff I did at all this year was just to maintain my level of, health, I guess you could say. Yeah. I really didn't pursue any races at all this year. I do my next one when I kind of get everything figured out at home and get the job stuff a little more settled and everything like that. I'm aiming for another 100-miler.
Jeez.
And I think I'll probably kind of chill out after that.
just for any of the Australian listeners, that's 160 kilometers.
Gee whiz.
Okay. And 50 miles is 80 kilometers.
What?
Yeah, 50
remember
miles
before
I've done
when I said she was a beast?
Yeah. Yeah, is that in your
50 milers are definitely, they're my favorite though. I love the 50 milers because, okay, I mean, like if you've ever just run 3 miles, that is a huge accomplishment. But like you get into, I mean, you're not even running anymore when you go to those distances. And that's where all the hiking and stuff like that comes into play for me personally, is because I know exactly how to, keep doing that. Cause nobody runs outright the whole time on a race that long. You just can't. Your body's like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So you learn to, like, when you get to a hill, instead of running up the hill, you speed hike the hill, and you try to run on the level surfaces or run downhill. So again, all my combined experience, I guess, out there, it kind of is what pushed me towards the ultra running scene in the whole first place. It's like, well, I know I can hike. Oh, I can run. Yeah, I can do this. That's awesome. So when I first did a 50 miler, I was just like, I actually was not in shape and had not been training. I think, like, if you ever follow people who train for ultras and stuff like that, they're like out there running 20 miles on the weekends each day, like 20 miles on Saturday, 20 miles on Sunday. I wasn't. I was like, hey, I might do 7 miles today. Yeah. So I was not in shape, but I had the mindset, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of all that got me through it. It's just like, well, the kids and I just went on like a 20-mile hike, and this is when Wyatt was still really small, so I was carrying him on my shoulders for probably half of that. And, and it's just like, you just get to that point in your mindset, just you keep going. So when I'm out there and I'm doing this race, and I was not ready for it, I know I wasn't. I mean, I was in pain for a few days after that, for sure. But
a few days.
I did it. There wasn't a quit. Oh yeah, lots. Yeah, like you start to like. It's amazing the places on your body that will start rubbing on parts of your clothes and like ripping open, and you're like, what the heck? Where'd that even come from? I have like a vest, that I wear with my water bottles, and I'll pack a little food in it and stuff like that. And it rubbed right here on my arm. And by mile 30, that was all ripped open, and I had to have the aid station guys bandage it all back up, and it ripped through the Band-Aids, and I had to bandage it back up again. And it's just like, why do people do this? This is so stupid. And then as soon as you're done, you're like, I'm going to sign up for another one.
Wow. It sounds sounds to me like it was the same. I just keep hearing this kind of tenacity in everything you do. It sounds like the same thing that got you through that tough stuff. It's just that you don't stop. You just keep trucking, and that's pretty cool. Like,
well, you can't. I've had friends in my life who gave up and lost themselves to things and stuff. And it's just like, definitely having the parents that I have has been a very big influencer, I guess, in not quitting and not giving up and then everything, and like, even though I strayed away from how we were raised and everything like that, like my sisters were, they did everything the way that my parents were planning on raising us. I'm the middle child, so I went the middle child way.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, it just, when it really comes down to it, though, it's just, I don't know, becoming a mom kind of helped that as well. I became a mom when I was 23 years old, and so even though it was never a plan to be a mom at all, I'm forever grateful for my children, because you can't give up when you have kids. You have two little people watching your every move, looking up to you. Like, just everything I do is about them. I mean, even my job I have now, the only reason I have it is because it's such a great support system for my kids. It gets them out, gets them working with animals, gets them outside every day. It's incredible. It gets us to live where we get to live, you know.
Yep.
It's so cool. And then even like now, you know, like the running was more my thing, but the hiking has always been there, but it's become so much bigger because of my children. You know, and so like I'm trying to kind of the same thing. The no quit attitude. I try to influence them with that as much as possible. It's just like, you know, we don't give up. You can't give up. It's that's just not how life works. So I'm trying. Well, there's definitely been trials and stuff, but it's, you know, that like, you know, when you go after something and it just all seems to click into place and it all seems to flow and you just know that you're on the right path. Yeah. That's what this has all been ever since, you know, when I got clean and when I started just pursuing different things and just getting back outside, knowing that the most healing thing for me was to be active, to be outside, and then to continue it with my children, with a new generation of little mini me's, you know, and it's just like, it's all fallen. Everything that I've aimed for has always fallen into place. And it's just like, okay, well, then we're definitely going on the right path here. We're going where we need to be. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's been a very awesome journey so far.
I was having a conversation with my eldest son sometime last year about not giving up, and he was doing something, and I explained that to him, and it was probably about 3 weeks later. I do a bit of a boot camp thing in my backyard. I've got truck tires and stuff, and heavy logs and stuff that I'll do. And I have this really long rope attached to this 6 foot punching bag, and I'll do all different things with it. But I'll extend the rope out, and then I'll sit on my butt, and I'll just pull it to me, and all three boys were sitting on the damn thing, just going, come on dad, and I was pulling it, and I got I mean, I'm talking like a 30-40 foot rope I'm pulling in, and it got to the last few meters and I was just destroyed, and my eldest boy goes, come on, Dad, remember what you said about not giving up? I just went, and
you're like, this is not what I want those words thrown back at me. Exactly. Quit.
So, but I tell you what, as soon as he said it, I just bit down and just got it done.
Yeah,
because like you said, that's not the time to quit. You don't do it in front of him. You can't. It's I just told him not to quit, and then he's calling me on it. So
and they're watching it. It's amazing. Yeah, they watch us all the time. And it's just like, God, okay, really actually have to be a good influence on these little people. It's
it's a tough job.
I love it though. I mean, honestly, you know, I make little jokes about how my kids weren't planned and stuff like that, but I'm extremely blessed that I got to have children, you know, and it's just been such a joy to have them with me and just kind of understand those are mine. Those are my children. Those are my babies. And this is so cool. And like, you know, that no quit attitude, they both exhibit that 100%. They're just, it kind of gets a little overwhelming sometimes where I'm like, all right, it's okay now, you know, but they pick up on it fast. My youngest, Wyatt, he's in flag flex football. He asked way too late in the season to be signed up for football. And so it was like, okay, well, we can't sign you up. I got to wait, you know? And, so I found this little program through like the YMCA, you know, that is like a flag, soft touch type of football. Good Lord, it is so much fun watching him excel at that. And it's just like, he gets out there and he's just like, he's ready for it. You know, he's getting after the ball. He's getting after all these kids. He's running after them, pulling the tags and stuff, you know. It's just like, holy crap, you know. And like, I'm like, way to go. You know, you don't even have to like, the fact that I don't even have to take him aside and be like, don't give up. You know, he just does it all on his own. It is so incredible to see. And same with my oldest boy. My Tucker, he's more of like the computer kid, you know. He's the one who likes to sit and draw and read books. He's not really so much the physical kid, but like, he asked me the other day if he could start running, and it's just like, okay, let's see what you got, So
That's cool.
we have a dirt road that comes here to my house and then goes down to the ranch. So I was like, okay, let's run down to the ranch and back. And if you don't stop, I'll let you run a trail with me. He ran, not only like ran it, but he was like huffing and puffing and his face is bright red. And I'm like, you can slow down, buddy. It's okay. Slow down, pace yourself. And he's like, no, and he just 100% went for it. And he never once stopped. And he probably went and threw up afterwards. I'm sure. Cause he really overexerted himself. But like, it was just like, I love that because, not having to even worry about having that conversation with them kids, just being an example of just trying to be the best example I can of just not giving up and just keep going, and they're definitely showing that they're picking up on that. It's great.
That's awesome. Hey, I'm going to say 3 words to you. I want to get a response, okay?
Okay.
Lamb of God.
What is that? Just want to see what my reaction is?
I've seen you talk about this, and is this one of your tunes? Is this one of your bands that gets you motivated?
Yeah. So music is a big part of my life. I actually have another tattoo on my side with music notes and stuff like that, nautical stars and everything. It's same type of meaning as this one on my arm.
Right.
The nautical stars are for direction, and the music is like music's such a big influence in my life. So have you listened to anything?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It reminds me of today I went on a long drive. I had to do a 2-hour drive this morning, and I was listening to White Zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought there's a lot of similarities there, but yeah, it's just pretty full on. It's good.
Yeah. Well, so like we're super musical in my family. My dad is like a genius with the guitar, a genius. All of us girls play some sort of instrument. We kind of pick at the guitar. We all sing and stuff like that. So again, same thing. My upbringing in the outdoors, my upbringing with music and whatnot has been there. So Lamb of God, there's a few songs of theirs that kind of get you going, and then there's just some all out, just crazy sounding songs of theirs that like when you need to just not think at all and just get something done, you listen to that, and you're going for it.
Yeah, I mean, Craig and I used to play in a band. That's how we met 20 odd years ago. Yeah, other bands that were, and I feel the same way about, depending on what I'm doing, is things like Sepultura. That sort of fires me up. Pantera.
Yeah.
But it's slightly more old school than Lamb of God.
Yeah. Well, see, okay, I originally started like with Slayer, Slayer was just like my go-to.
We did start at the same place then. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, if you ever go, like, on my Amazon list or on my Pandora list or whatever, there is so many different types of music in there. I never just stay with just one. I mean, it's anything from, like, Dirty Heads, which are, like, kind of reggae and stuff like that, right, to, like, over to Metallica, then, like, back to, like, some, like, EDM type of music. It's just a broad range. When we were kids, my mom firmly believed that rock was like, like Satan music and stuff like that. And I remember when I was little, someone gave me one of those CD player Walkmans.
Yep.
And like Stained had just come out. And so, like, Aaron Lewis's voice, so he's got like an incredible voice and stuff like that. And I remember someone just like was like, you can borrow this CD, and I would listen to Stained. I'd listen to that whole album every night in my headphones so my mom wouldn't find out. And that kind of like, otherwise, I mean, like she like let us listen to country, and my dad always played stuff like William Elwood. He's like a classical guitar, acoustic guitar guy. He's incredible. My dad kind of plays music like him and stuff. My mom's just like, well, country's not bad. And I'm like, Mom, they're talking about like cheating and drinking and all this kind of stuff. How's country not bad, So like when I kind of, when I got away from my mom being able to say what I could and couldn't listen to, I just explored any kind of music I can. And literally there is no type of music that I don't like and that I don't listen to. Just music is incredible, And Lamb of God there, and I can't remember what the song was now. The first song I ever heard, it was like, I think I had like that Sirius satellite radio in my truck, and I had a rock station on, and they played a Lamb of God song, and I was just like, oh my God, that's awesome. That is such great music, you know? And then like, I started listening to my headphones when I'd run, you know, and it's like, yeah, like I said, certain songs would just amp you up and get you going, you know? So they're pretty good.
Have you ever heard of any Mastodon?
Yep, Mastodon. I love Mastodon.
Man, I love that stuff. That is good. That's good running. There's good, like Curler. If you run to Curler the Bell, man, you'll do your best time ever. But hey, what's your opinion on running with music? Because I'm torn. I'm torn both ways on that personally. I'd like to hear your opinion.
It varies, I guess. Like I said, when I first started running, I was always on the road. It was always like I never even thought of running on a trail. You know what I mean? And so it was just like the kind of like what you saw in other runners is they'd gear up, they'd have their headphones in, and they'd run. Yep. And like I'll still do that even to this day, but like what kind of got me away from listening to music actually when I run is when I started running trail, because I would rather hear nature, you know what I mean? I'd rather hear what's going on around me and stuff like that. Or like, where I run, there's mountain lions, there's bears and stuff like that. We actually have timber wolves now in the area and everything. So you got to be a little more alert. You can't really be up there with music going, So, but I mean, the same thing is just like, I want to be able to hear just all that, the nature stuff. And then like, I'll run every once in a while on road still. We go to this really cool thing that they did in Klamath Falls is there used to be a railroad that went through Klamath Falls, and that, they rerouted it. And so like they still had the area, but they ended up paving the trails. Some of the trails they paved. And then like you could go all the way up on some of the dirt track part of it, all the way to like Lakeview, which is like 100 something miles away on this old railroad system, which is really cool. But like when we go out there, if I'm running it by myself, I usually have music on, just because when I'm compared to like when I'm on trail, I'm just totally out there having fun. It's just so cool. It's like an adventure,
Yeah, it is.
And then when I'm back on road or anything like that, and it's kind of the same thing over and over, I get bored of it. Yep. So I put music on, I'll listen to music because it distracts me. It takes me out of that place, and I'll just listen to the music and focus on that instead and just keep running. So, I mean, I guess I kind of see both sides. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's the greatest. I don't think you have to do it. I don't think you don't have to do it. I understand it, and then I kind of step away from it a lot too. Yeah. So I guess it depends on my environment.
Yeah, I think the way you've explained it is probably exactly the way I approach it as well. Like I would think it would be almost sacrilegious for me to put headphones on and run through a rainforest and just, I just couldn't do it. But if I do run on the streets, I definitely put something in. But something I noticed a few years back was I found that the music was masking my kind of heavy breathing, and I felt like I was cheating because I was not really dealing with the panic or whatever you want to call it. And a couple of times I had to run without headphones when the batteries went flat, and I remember that it was punishing. It was grueling hearing myself breathing and heaving, and the footsteps getting kind of sloppier. It was you almost wanted to cover it up again and put the music back on. I think once I dealt with that, I think I became more comfortable with running, though. Yeah. Like it's okay to sound like you're dying.
Yeah, exactly. Because everybody does. You run in a group of runners, it's like, like a big panting group of runners, So, but it's the same thing though. Like it's funny because my mom, she kind of got into the running thing there for a while. Like I said, she's into bike riding and stuff like that, so that's more her thing. But her bike, she had to go get it worked on, and she like was kind of in between jobs at the time, so she just let the bike just sit and wait for her to get another job. And I was like, well, in the meantime, why don't you try running? And it was funny because like you get to these levels in anything that you do, like even like just any type of physical activity, I guess. I remember when I first started mountain bike racing, same thing. I would be like so distressed when I couldn't keep up with everybody, when I was the one going through every single gear on my bike. And, you know, when I had to hold my brake all the way down the downhill, I was just like, why can't I, you know, like in my mind, I needed to be as good as everybody else. But then as I got better and better in the mountain biking scene, and as I started doing more races, it just naturally came, you know, like it just all, I just got used to it. Same with running. I remember when I first was running, it was like I was always in competition with myself. Always in competition with myself. It's like same thing. My breathing would drive me nuts. I didn't want to hear myself breathe. And it's just like, to my mind, oh, you're so out of shape because you're breathing that hard. And I'm like, no, man, you're running.
Yeah, you're pushing it, of course.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, now, I mean, I could go like, you know, an entire week without running, step outside, run for 10 miles straight and not even think of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's incredible.
And same with like my bike, the mountain bike stuff. I haven't raced a mountain bike race in freaking years. But like if it, you know, I go pump my bike up, I'll take it up to the pass over here where there's some pretty good trails and stuff like that. You get on that downhill side and it just clicks. It's just conditioning. Yeah. It's all back there. But yeah, same thing is like when you first start something, it's like you're so much harder on yourself than you need to be. And that's why the music, I think, was the same with you, with me. When I first started running, the music was just, that was part of it. I had to have that music.
That's right.
Because it's like, it was the only way I could just get out of it, like not freak myself out. Okay, I got to stop now, you know? Yeah. So it's I just think that's pretty much all it is just a conditioning thing, you know?
What shoes are you running these days?
Still with the barefoot movement. So, like Merrell, I picked Merrell up a while ago and I love Merrell. I still do everything with them, as my hiking shoes are with Merrell and everything like that. If I wear actual hiking boots, I will wear Merrell. Usually I'm hiking out in sandals and stuff like that. Everybody calls me a hippie. But like, someone turned me on to, cause I do the minimalist approach to everything, you know? And so like I have my Merrells that I have now are the Vapor Gloves. I believe it's the 3rd gen Vapor Gloves. And then I got into Luna sandals there I still have them. I still run in those a lot. So those are my two go-tos. If I'm not completely barefoot, if I have shoes on, it's either the Luna sandals or it's the Merrell Vapor Gloves. And then every once in a while, one of the things I picked up is with minimalist running, you're not really working so much like on the top half of your leg. You're mostly working your calves. Right. So on the hills and stuff like that you need your quads and everything to kind of fire when you're going up a hill and everything. And, you know, I won 2 pairs of Salomon shoes, running shoes, when I was racing in Tahoe. And to this day, I still have them. They're great shoes. I don't wear them enough to really break them down. So I'll cross-train with those every once in a while, where if I've been running in the barefoot shoes for a while and kind of start noticing like maybe my thigh muscle is starting to weaken a little, I'll put the Salomons on.
Right, yeah.
And then those are running that whole upper part. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're great shoes. Salomon, I support Salomon. A lot of the races in Tahoe are sponsored by Salomon, and they make some incredible gear. I mean, all I ever knew about them before was their skis, you know, skis and ski boots with Salomon, and then it's like, oh, they do shoes?
Nah, we're big advocates for Salomon. I'm wearing them right now.
Yeah.
I got this, Speed Cross, what are these, 3s or 4s? 3 Speed Cross 4.
I have the Speed Cross, and I have what's that mix one that they made that was supposed to go from road to trail?
Oh, I'm not sure.
I can't remember what that one's called.
But I have a bunch of Merrells as well. There was a Merrell that came out called a Fuse. Did you ever see that? It was minimalist. Yeah, I don't think it went that popular, but I've still got them at home. I absolutely love them. Just a real slim foot, and the shape of the sole's like actually the shape of your foot. It's not just a big
of your
block.
Foot, yeah.
And they're so light. I just love I love going up and down mountains with them. They're good.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a good run in these Speed Cross last weekend. I did 5Ks and I was totally comfortable. That's because I've not ran in these yet. like to wear them, but they did absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. They make good gear.
They're comfy shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got the Solomon hiking boots as well. I can't remember what they're called, the GTX or something.
They're I don't know, that's like, you know, I didn't start off in the minimalist thing at all. It was somebody, I blew out my knee one time and someone goes, why don't you try running minimalist? And so I transitioned. I started with like a Saucony, or I think was the brand or whatever. And it was like a halfway type of shoe.
Yep.
And then I went to REI. I love REI. And there was some Merrells there. And it was, you know, zero drop, full minimalist shoe. And I was just like, and it just looked awesome. And the lady goes, well, you don't have to wear socks with it. And that sold me, because I hate having socks on my feet. Drives me nuts. So I was like, I'm in, you know, and just I started running those, and I've stuck with Merrell ever since. Merrell's been my go-to as far as the minimalist stuff goes. And then when I got given those, when I won those Solomons, I was just like, you know, because I was like, at the time I was kind of a snob about my minimalist stuff. I was like, well, I'm a minimalist runner, you know, but like I put them on and wore them on a hike, and it was the speed cross, same thing. And I wore them on a hike. I was like, wow, these are actually really comfortable. And then I ran a race in them in Arizona, and I think I won the race. I believe that's either I won the race or I was second in my age group or something like that.
Yep.
Or first in my age group or something. I can't remember now, but and I was like, okay, I'll give these a chance, you know? So I've stuck with Salomon this whole time as well, just for a really great alternative to any minimalist. I always support when I get asked that question, you know, like, okay, well, I'm not really quite ready to do the whole minimalist shoe thing. You know, I like socks and everything. It's like, all right, well, my next choice would be Solomon's. They just make an incredibly comfortable shoe. It's light. It's held up. I mean, the XR missions, that's what I have. The other ones, XR missions and the Speed Cross.
Right.
And the XRs just, I mean, I probably have 700 miles on those XRs, and
wow,
they'll go even longer.
Yeah, their build
great.
quality is, yeah, you can't compare their build quality.
That's good.
Yeah, that's
good.
Good.
You definitely get what you pay for.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, someone actually asked me on Instagram recently. I get asked all the time in person as well, like what shoes should I look at? And I just say that Merrell, Solomon, that's all I'm going to tell you. Yep. Work out what you need to be doing and get some advice on which shoe. But if you buy one of those two brands, you'll still have them in 3 years, and you'll thank me for the longevity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I remember when I first was running, someone had given me a pair of Nikes, and I'm not trying to bash Nike. I just the fact that Nike lasted 200 miles of running, and it was just like they're blown out, they're torn apart, and it was granted they were given to me, so I really didn't complain that much. But I was just like, I thought Nike, this is what they do. I thought they make shoes, you know, and I was like so disappointed. But
yeah, because 200 miles, you would have clocked that up in about 2 weeks, wouldn't you?
Out. Yeah, I was ticked. I was just like, this is ridiculous.
Every fortnight.
And then I think I bought Under Armour is kind of my go-to gear a lot for clothing and stuff. But then I bought some of their shoes. Same thing, it was like 300 miles with them, and they blew out. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Maybe this is normal, but to me, a shoe should last a lot longer than that. So then when I went to Merrell and I went to Salomon, it was just like my hiking boots from Merrell. I've had them for so long. I think I was still in my 20s when I bought the Merrell's hiking boots, and I mean they're worn. They're definitely worn, but they're still. I could go. I mean, they're the Gore-Tex ones. I still can walk through all the water and still not get leaks in my shoes, into my socks. Nothing. It's great. It's just like, okay. See, to me, if you're gonna spend close to $200 on a shoe, and it lasts for thousands of miles, it's money well spent.
Absolutely. And I mean, they're enjoyable miles as well.
Exactly.
The comfort level is incredible, and the grip and everything on those are fantastic.
You can like walk up. We went to in Bishop, California. Outside of Bishop, California, there's all these boulders and stuff like that. And my dad's kind of into bouldering and rock climbing and stuff, and I get into it here and there, mostly with him. I don't really go out and do it by myself, but if he wants to, I'm like, yeah, I'm there. And I had those boots on the first time we went out to Happy Boulders, and we're climbing around on these boulders and stuff, and he's going, he's going to invert and stuff, and he's going up and over, and I was just kind of scrambling and stuff, but I had my Merrell hiking boots on, and at the time I think I was like 29 at the time, so I'd had them for about 4 years.
Yep.
and I'm running up the side of rocks with these things. I'm just like, you can't go wrong with that.
No, they're good stuff. Well, something I noticed I wanted to quiz you on was when you're doing a lot of this, the stuff outdoors, what I find, how can I put it? I find it admirable, but at the same time, I think it's, I just don't know how to put it into words. When I see you out there, a lot of times you're alone, right? And there's just every woman I've talked to who wants to get into outdoor type activities, like one of the biggest, a couple of things they say to me is, I got nobody to show me, don't really know where to start. So they haven't had that upbringing that you've had. So they're just saying, hey, I want to get into it. I'm in my mid-20s or whatever. What do I do? So they need someone to guide them. But then there's also that kind of that fear factor of, oh, that's a dangerous environment, so I don't have any preparation for that, which is obviously something that you must have acquired along the way, is that just that general kind of sense and the safety kind of aspects that you probably take for granted, like a second nature now.
Well, yeah, it is, and it's unfortunate, but the thing of it is women, we are always looked at and targeted as the weaker, and so if something's going to happen, it's going to happen to a woman, especially women out running or women out hiking on their own and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
You're unfortunately a target. My biggest thing, I don't know, like there was a lot of, like growing up, with my dad, like I said, he was a police officer when we were kids. He was retired Navy SEAL. So we got a lot of self-defense training from him, which was pretty cool. And like a lot of survival stuff he started out on and everything like that. He showed us a lot of survival things, showed us what we can eat and, how to build fires out of nothing, So it's like, here's a, stick and something, just build a fire. It's like, okay, Dad, we're like 5. And he's big influence in that. My mom was always more of the timid of them, where like, she was a lot more cautious, but you got to admire a woman taking 3 girls out, like if my dad was gone or at work, my mom would just she'd take us on bike rides, she'd take us on walks, and a woman and 3 little girls. I mean, we were like, my sisters and I are all about a year apart. So, we're all like at the same stage. And I think just, knowing that she would talk about being alert and she'd tell us about, to pay attention and stuff like that, but she still did it.
Yep.
And she still went out there. She didn't let it hold her back.
Yeah.
And so that kind of put us in that mentality too, is you just do it. But like with me personally, I know I always take precautions with me. I run everywhere I run. I always have a knife on me. Or my dog, my dog has been, when I started running, I didn't have a dog, and my mom, even though she was the tough one when we were kids, she's like a wimp now. And so, she called me, are you going to go run? It's just like, oh my God, I'm worried about you. Call me. It's like, okay, Mom, I got it. So, I always had my check-in system with my mom and stuff like that. And then, I started running with a knife to make her feel better and stuff like that. And then when I got Juno, she like went from calling me and bugging me every 5 seconds if she knew I was running or hiking or anything to like, oh, you got the dog, you're fine. It's like, well, he would lick somebody before he could kill him, thanks, Mom, But like, it's kind of, there's so many things that women could do to make themselves feel better and make themselves less approachable. The way that my dad always taught us is like, even just the way that we approach things, like the way we walk into the room, the way that, like when we're wandering around and stuff like that. And I'm always putting this on my kids as well. When we leave my truck to go into a store, our heads are up, we're looking around, we're always alert, nobody's playing on a phone, nobody's messing with stuff. And just, even when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you're still using that, and you're always aware. One of the things I did start doing out here, just because like I was explaining, there's cougars out here, there's black bears, there's wolves out here and stuff like that. Beyond just running with a knife and with my dog and stuff like that, or hiking with him. I always carry a pistol now too, when I'm out in the woods and stuff. It's a secondary thing. I mean, before I had kids, it was just kind of like, well, I'll just go out there, no big deal. But like after I had the boys, it's like, oh yeah, I actually got to protect myself out there, you know?
That's, Craig and I have had those conversations. I mean, we don't have that type of cougar here. We got the other type, but which is still equally dangerous.
Scary stuff.
But we don't run into them on the trails. We have had those conversations about, well, now I make different decisions when I'm in the wilderness. I didn't have a personal locator beacon until a couple of years ago because I was just out there and doing what I do. But now, as soon as my first son was born, whoa, all of a sudden, hey, I'm accountable now. I've got to come home because there's people waiting for me, and I've got
it completely changes everything when you have kids.
I think that's okay.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's good because you got to think, how stupid were we before we had kids?
Yeah.
Because even when I'm driving, I'm like, I get right to the speed limit and I set to cruise control, you know? And I'm like, I'm always watching everybody. And like, I never had road rage until I had kids because now I realize how idiot everybody else is in their driving. I'm like, oh, you so dumb, you know? And it's just like, all right, calm down.
For sure.
That's fantastic. I really like I think that any women listening would kind of get a lot out of that because the way I see it, you've been presented with a series of problems, whether it's the animals or potentially people you might run into, but any one of those could have been an excuse for you to say, well, maybe being outdoors is not for me, or maybe
don't do it. Yeah.
Maybe I need to wait for a big, strong man to take me out there for a run. But I just love the fact that you've just gone, nah, I want to get out there. How do I get out there? How do I get out there? What things do I change? What adjustments do I make? Because I want to be out there and I don't want to be relying on anybody else.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, and that's like another thing too, like for women, one of the biggest things is to know where you are and know where you're going. When I first moved here, when I was getting used to the area, I would drive my routes. You know, like if I was going to go out on a forestry road, I would take my truck, I'd drive the route first. So I knew how many miles it was, you know, where I was going to turn, where I was going to go. I'd always have it planned, you know?
Yep.
My dad always told us don't take the same route over and over again. So I wouldn't have certain days where I do certain things. I would mix it up all the time. Even when we go out to the Sky Lakes Wilderness, you know, I know exactly how long I'm going to be out there, and I know exactly the best spaces to turn around in, or like if I have to get away from something, or like, you know, like I plan all my trees even, you know, which is kind of dumb because, you know, a bear and a mountain lion can climb a tree, but the wolves can't. So, but you know, and it's basically what it comes down to is just as a woman. I mean, yeah, you can't let fear hold you back. You can't. And you know, like I was saying, you know, with all of us having kids and stuff, it does change our mentality and our approach to things. But at the same time, we got to show our kids, you know, that you can't let things hold you back either. And life is an adventure. We're supposed to be enjoying it. We're supposed to be out there. And, you know, this journey is just incredible. Don't let things keep you in your house when there's so much world to explore, you know. And so just like what I try to pass on to boys, or, you know, like if I have a friend actually who a new friend in the area, and she's kind of a timid person and she likes to be outside and stuff, but she doesn't know the area. And same thing, she heard all the stories about how we have wolves in the area now, and it freaked her out. So I took her with me last week. Actually, we went out to one of my favorite trails, and I took her out and I looped her around with me and stuff like that, showed her one of the best loops to do out there and everything. And, you know, she did it. It was really great. But like, just the whole time I'm just kept telling her, it's just like, you know, you can't let things hold you back. You take every precaution that you can. Yep. You know, as a woman going out here, as being by yourself out here and stuff like that, you have to be aware. You have to set yourself up for the worst thing possible, basically. But don't let it control you, and don't let it slow you down. Don't let it stop you from doing what you love, from getting out there and enjoying this. And like, you know, the mentality I kind of pass on to the boys is like, you know, we're all going to end up in the same place. We're all going to die here eventually. Yeah. You know, so would you rather do it cocooned in your little safe place, or would you rather be out on some adventure and knowing
Wrestling
that
a
when
lion.
you yeah, exactly. But like, would exactly, it's would you rather say that you lived your life, or would you rather like look back and be like, man, I didn't do nothing, so
No, that's 100% true.
that's kind of my mentality on that type of deal, is just, be safe, but don't let it hold you back. Don't let that fear of stuff hold you back. And just, as women, we just have to take just a little more precautions. We just got to be a lot more aware of things.
Yeah.
But it's still a doable thing, My biggest thing, I think, for women is, if you can get a dog, get a dog. That is one of the best traveling companions, the best hiking, running, all of that companions. If you get a scary looking dog, even better.
I don't think there's a much better note to finish that on.
Yeah.
I am conscious.
Well, like with you, huh?
I am conscious of taking up any more of your time, but is there any questions you had for us quickly before you don't have to. This is no pressure.
One of my biggest things is, how did you guys kind of get into this whole thing? Like, the podcast and everything like that. And
the podcast side of it?
What made you? Yeah.
That's such a good question. So originally we were doing all this hiking, or we were both doing solo hiking as well, and I took a video camera along on a canoe trip that I did, and I filmed the whole thing, and I never intended to use it for anything except show my family or something in the future. And I ended up cutting it up and making I think it was 2 episodes or something, and chucking it on YouTube, and some people jumped on, and it was received pretty well. And so I started making we both made a lot of video content. We do a lot of gear reviews and stuff like that as well, which is, I just felt like we had to kind of give back, not only to, because we do have, fantastic sponsors, but not just for that reason, but I felt like when we were coming up, there was a lack of information at the time, and I feel like giving back honest information was important. But what I found was, because it's not, I don't do a review on stuff because someone gives it to me. Yeah, I'll test it, and then I'll say, it's not that great, or it's really great, because it's my integrity as a person. Yeah. So we don't go down that route. But what I found was the production time in creating video content is just enormous. Like, it's huge. It's hours and weeks, so we're doing these episodes, multi-day kind of adventures and stuff, and whilst I still look back on some of that stuff and love it, I didn't feel like I was getting stuff out to people quick enough. So I actually had the idea a couple of years ago to do the podcast, but we didn't get into it. And it was end of last year. I said to Craig, we got to give more information more regularly, and it needs to include other people's perspectives, like people like yourself. And so we decided this was the year. We set a goal, and we did the first one in January, and the response has been ridiculously good.
That's what I was going to say. It's, and the thing of it is, it's amazing. I love the podcast view of it, and the like connecting with other people who are like-minded, or, just getting other people's opinions on things. I think that's just incredible. I love what you guys are doing, because there's a lot of times that information actually is not out there,
Yep.
Like, and there's so many people are starting, you would think, like, with our easy access to the web and our easy access to searching things and whatnot, you would think so much more information on what we can do outdoors, or what is the best brand for shoes, stuff like that, would be just available. But the first person review of things is still the best way to do it, And if you can get somebody who can just reach mass amounts of people, like, with you guys with the podcast stuff, if you can just put it out there for anybody who's actually interested in it to listen to it, and give your opinions and get other people's opinions and whatnot. That's just I still, it's still the way to do it. It's like, back in the days when you'd go into the barber shop and you'd get all the information and stuff like that from like the gossip and whatnot. This is like our form of gossip.
Well, it is. You think about the topics we've covered today, and say for one tiny nugget of gold is think about all the information that you just gave people interested in trail running just on the shoes. Like, there's no way we could have conveyed that. Mm-hmm. How could I have conveyed that? I don't. Yeah. I don't know. Do I sit in front of a video camera on YouTube and talk about shoes? But I don't even do the distances you do. It just doesn't kind of work. This is the only way it works. The advice you've given all the female listeners today is stuff that there's no other. How could I convey that? How could anyone convey that except you telling them straight up and in your own words? That's what attracts me to other podcasts, and that's what I want this to be.
Yeah, it's a great way to have a conversation about all sorts of things, and long form like this.
And the best part too is like you don't even realize the stuff you do, how much it affects people. Like when I first started my Instagram page, and I remember when I was just doing running pictures because I thought it was cool, or like I did travel pictures because I thought it was neat, and I just thought, I was like, oh, that picture's badass, I'll share that,
Right.
And then like you get people reaching out to you being like, hey, you have no idea how much you've influenced me. I'm like, I influenced you? I was just taking pictures and I thought they were neat. So the same thing like the podcast, you never quite know if what you're talking about, you might have a goal of reaching people with a certain topic, but it might be a side topic that actually reaches the people. It answers someone's question.
I'll tell you a funny story about that canoe video. So this guy from Australia watched that canoe video that I thought was pretty crappy. I mean, editing and filming wise, I still am embarrassed because I've come so far, but but it's raw, okay? And he watched this video. He wanted to do the same trip that I did, and he built a canoe from scratch out of timber, built a wooden canoe.
Say what?
Yeah,
That's
he
so
built a wooden canoe for like 6 months and then did this. And he wrote on my YouTube channel, you inspired me with your video to build a canoe and do the same trip. And I said to him, thanks so much. You don't understand how much that helps me keep editing those long nights, and because that's what it is. And when people write on our Instagram, love the podcast, at like this guy called Jim Denham, I know you will be listening right now. He's a legend. He's going through his own weight loss journey, and when he writes to me and says, you guys are inspiring me, you're giving me the fuel to get out there and kick ass, then I just say, mate, my job's done. My job's done.
Exactly.
This is it. If this is what we can give back, holy heck, we're lucky people.
Yeah. I know. I really appreciate what you guys do. I think it's just incredible because, it is. You being able to be there, it's like, and sometimes, when you're kind of going about these things and you kind of feel like you're not reaching anybody, you know, and you're just like, well, okay, we'll just keep going with it. And then you find out all these people that you've reached, and it's just, I think you guys are doing great. It's awesome.
I appreciate it. That's very kind.
You're welcome.
Hey, Tanya, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on. I know I could talk to you for another 4 hours.
Yeah.
But I actually want to get to bed now. It's 1:10 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys, it's late. My day is starting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's why you're so sprightly, and we're not.
Time for you to go and get out there.
Get out. You haven't been outdoors yet.
I got a football game to get to here in a little while, so I had to sign a thing to I cannot yell at the refs or at the other coaches, so I have to be on my best behavior.
I couldn't imagine you doing that.
Oh, well.
I do. I will.
I was joking. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my kid. Let him play. You know. So.
Oh, thanks, Tanya.
Awesome. Yeah.
Such an amazing story, crazy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so glad you've been taking photos along the way and sharing them on Instagram too.
I know a lot of people. I see other people that we follow like your photos, and I think, oh, that's interesting. Like, there's kind of a little group of us that cross-pollinate.
We're like a little.
It's really nice.
Yeah, we're like a little family on there.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your time, Tanya.
Thank you. You guys get some sleep.
Awesome. It's been really good. Cool. Oh, we'll be in touch.
All right.
Hey, can we, Craig, I want to take a selfie of us.
Yeah.
Because can we take a selfie with you?
All right.
Yeah.
Or are you going to do it or am I going to do it?
I don't
I'm going
mind.
to try and turn around and get you in this. I'm ready to go.
You ready to go?
Yeah. Got to get down here, though.
Okay.
We gotta get
I know I was going to say.
Yeah. Oh, where are you? There she is, down there. Whoa, this is difficult. Okay. Hang on. This is the most difficult thing. You ready?
Yep.
Oh, one more. Awesome. I'm going to post that.
Perfect.
Oops, sorry, I'm back on the mic. I'm going to post that. Thanks, Tanya. Awesome. Keep on trucking.
All right, thank you.
Keep on doing what you're doing.
All right.
Thanks.
See you, buddy.
You guys too.
Thanks, mate.
All right, bye.
See you later. Bye. If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, we'd really appreciate your ratings and comments if you can spare the time. If you'd like to know more about HikeordieTV and keep track of our adventures around Australia, make sure you drop by Hikeordie.com. That's where you'll find all the information you'll need to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or Pinterest. As always, we appreciate your support. Thanks for listening.